Alright, so you're wanting to get into Vinegar Syndrome, huh, you motherfucker? Well, look no further, because I have the guide for you. I should actually probably preface this by saying that I am not an expert in Vinegar Syndrome. Probably the wrong way to start this video, but disclaimer, I've only been collecting Vinegar Syndrome and partner labels for about a little over 2 years now. So if you guys have any tips or suggestions that I overlooked or missed, leave them in the comments down below. But because I'm still relatively new to it, I am closer to the person who has no experience with Vinegar Syndrome than I am an expert collector. And therefore, I want to share what I've learned over the past couple years with you guys who may be trying to get into Vinegar Syndrome and don't really know where to start. Because Vinegar Syndrome can be a very intimidating label to jump into. Because on one hand, Vinegar Syndrome is a great label to discover forgotten gems and movies that you've never heard of and never would have heard of, because most of the releases haven't even gotten a Blu-ray, and in some cases DVD even. Some of these movies are stuck on VHS or have been for some time until Vinegar Syndrome picked them up. And that's what's so great about them, but that is also why it's kind of hard when you're a beginner and you don't know much about the label or their list of titles and their catalog. You kind of don't know where to start. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today, is just giving you guys kind of a place to start, some tips and tricks on how to navigate their website, when and where to buy stuff, how to know if you're gonna like it, and just stuff like that. Now, right off the bat, as I mentioned before, Vinegar Syndrome has a lot of titles that most people, even seasoned collectors and seasoned movie watchers, haven't even heard of. So it's going to require some faith and some blind buying when you buy from Vinegar Syndrome. So if you're totally against blind buying in general, and that's not something you're into, this may not even be the label for you. You know, that being said, they do put out some movies that you've probably heard of, but it's kind of a mixed bag when it comes to Vinegar Syndrome. But again, even though it's a mixed bag, I've personally found some really awesome movies that, like I said, I would have never discovered without them. So my first tip is to try to know as much as you can about the movies before you pull the trigger and decide you want to buy them. And a good way to do that is to watch the trailers that they have on the website for the movies you're looking at. Just browse their website, just kind of randomly, just go through it, try to find movies that look interesting or sound interesting, read the descriptions. Also, watch a bunch of other people's YouTube videos that have recommendations. I will even have a video coming out soon giving my personal recommendations for movies that I've picked up that I really loved and have discovered. But definitely don't be afraid to really just dig into their website. Try to look at as many movies as you can that seem interesting, from just the cover art to the description. Watch trailers. And like I said, go watch other people's recommendations on YouTube, because there is some great content out there. And now, while you are looking through their catalog and all of the movies that they have out there, definitely utilize the Vinegar Syndrome app on mobile, and definitely use their website. Now, there's two different things that you get from both. So on the app, you can make lists, and you can also do that on desktop. You can make lists, so you can have a list of titles that you think look interesting. I even have a list of titles that I already own. They also have a checklist on their website where you can check off titles that you already own. Make sure you create an account so that it'll save your list, obviously. But the one thing that the desktop has that the mobile app doesn't have is how many are left in stock. Now, usually if it's over 1,000, it'll just say over 1,000 or over 1,200 or whatever the number is. But that is one thing about Vinegar Syndrome, is that all of their movies have limited quantities, and some go faster than others. And if you want a slipcover, those are even more limited. So make sure you check that out as well. And on that topic, I don't exactly know how to do it myself, but I have seen people mention it, that there is a way to check the exact number if it's over 1,000 that is left in stock. You just have to do some little trick that I'm not going to cover in this video, but go look that up if you're interested. They release new titles on their website, both Vinegar Syndrome and partner labels, at the beginning of each month on the 1st. So that is a prime day to go to their website, see what's new, and those titles are also going to be under pre-order. So you have to keep that in mind, that if you're ordering an item or a title that's pre-order, you're not going to get it until close to the end of the month. And honestly, if you order anything, even if it's not a sale item or a pre-order, usually it takes them a while to ship it. You just have to be patient with them, because I've ordered just regular items that aren't on sale during a regular month, and I still haven't gotten them until the end of that month. And now, going along with the limited numbers thing, a rule of thumb is that most of the Vinegar Syndrome movies that are coming directly from Vinegar Syndrome, and I'll explain in a second what the partner labels are versus Vinegar Syndrome, but the movies that are actually in a subcategory through Vinegar Syndrome typically start at a higher number than a lot of the partner label releases. At the beginning of each month, when they release the new Vinegar Syndrome titles and the new partner label titles on the first of each month, like I said, you're going to want to go to the partner labels first, because those typically have smaller quantities, and you want to grab those as fast as you can if something catches your eye there. I would just go ahead and check out right then when you find something you want, because sometimes those will sell out. Typically, the stuff that's straight through Vinegar Syndrome and their sub-labels are going to have higher numbers, as I mentioned. You can usually still get those at the end of the month. They're not going to sell out. Now, there are a few exceptions, like the Keep sold out really quick. I think that was probably the fastest anything's probably ever sold out on their website, at least that I've seen in the few years that I've been collecting. And so, as I mentioned, there are Vinegar Syndrome titles that are directly from Vinegar Syndrome and their sub-labels, and they divide that on the website pretty well. I like the organization of their website and the app. And then there's partner labels, which are from companies that are established independently from Vinegar Syndrome, but Vinegar Syndrome is basically just giving them a place to sell their titles, and the quality is pretty good. Like, the partner label slipcovers are going to be really good quality, just like the Vinegar Syndrome label titles, I should say. Now, there are a couple different packaging options when it comes to the Vinegar Syndrome label items. Now, full transparency, I'm not actually completely sure which label or sub-label of Vinegar Syndrome has which packaging, so please let me know in the comments down below. I probably should have researched that. I doubt it would have been that complicated. Some releases, like the Keep, they come in an arrow style little like box that the movie slides into with a booklet typically. Then there's another label where it comes in almost like a box that has like a magnetic clasp that opens. Again, I'm not an expert. Go check those out. Those are really cool releases. But typically those are the ones that will sell out the fastest. But again, you should be good for at least the month that those pre-orders come out. So like I said, go to the partner labels first, check out anything you want over there before those sell out, because those typically have low numbers, like 500 or so, and most of the Vinegar Syndrome stuff starts at least over 1,000 typically. And again, if I'm wrong on any of this, let me know in the comments below. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. So one benefit to signing up, making an account, using their app, and buying everything through your account is that you accumulate Vinegar Syndrome points, and you can use those points to buy t-shirts, Frisbees, I don't know, they have a bunch of random stuff you can buy, stickers, but sometimes they'll put slipcovers for movies that the slipcover sold out really fast or has been out of print for a while. I know I used my points to buy the Spooky slipcover and Bloodhook, so that was really cool. Don't spend those right away. You can use them to redeem as cash, essentially, to get like $5 or $10 off, depending on how many points you've accumulated. You can get money off your purchase, but I like to save them for those items that you can only use the points for. Because let me reiterate, some of those items, like the slipcovers, you can only purchase them with points. You can't pay money for them. So if you don't have any points accumulated, but you've got all the money in the world, you're out of luck. But again, there's only a few options for that. They do switch it up every now and then. I think it's kind of random though when they do that. But anyway. All right, so the last tip is probably the biggest, and that is when you should buy from Vinegar Syndrome. Now, most people, even big collectors who collect a ton of Vinegar Syndrome stuff, will tell you you want to wait for the big sales. Now, the biggest sale of the year that they have is the Black Friday sale. And I'm pretty sure that lasts for maybe about a week, if not the weekend of Black Friday. Don't quote me on that. But they also have sporadic sales throughout the year. I know they just did a Valentine's Day sale. They did a random 420 sale on April 20th last year. I got a really good deal on a couple items through that. They do a Partners Month every year where all the Vinegar Syndrome stuff is taken off the website and you can only buy the partner label stuff, but each like day or week, or I can't remember how they rotate it, but different items will go on sale. But that's what you want to do. You really want to buy when there's a sale, but you also have to keep in mind that I can't remember the time frame. I think they do say it on the website somewhere, but some of the items, I think it's maybe like 6 months back. Anything that was released in the past 6 months, you know that those aren't going to go on sale. It might be even like the past year. I can't remember the exact time frame. Please let me know in the comments if you do know. But honestly, that is the cheapest way to get Vinegar Syndrome titles. So besides pre-orders and partner labels that are pre-orders that just came out that month that you really want, I would wait for a sale to really accumulate a collection from Vinegar Syndrome as a whole. But overall, I love Vinegar Syndrome. I'm going to continue to collect from them. I've found so many movies that I never would have otherwise, as I mentioned earlier. I love their label. I love what they're doing, and I will always continue to support them. So again, keep these tips in mind if you're new to Vinegar Syndrome, or even if you're not, and some of these tips you may have been unaware of. I doubt it, because this is a pretty basic sort of video. And also, again, anyone who knows more than I do, feel free to leave comments down below with your tips and all of that stuff. If you have more information on packaging and sales, let me know. But the tips I covered, just to keep in mind, are do your research, watch trailers, watch YouTube recommendation videos, read the descriptions of the movies before you buy it to make sure you're at least interested so you're not completely blind buying. Make an account and make lists on their app. Go to the desktop if you want to see what the numbers are for how many are left. Use your points when necessary, but also save your points if you're interested in buying the re-released slipcovers. And then the biggest one, wait for sales to save money and get everything at an extremely discounted rate. Well, extreme, it's really like, you're never going to get them for that cheap, but you know, it's Vinegar Syndrome, so what do you expect? It's all kind of expensive. Usually it's worth it. So anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something. And if you're new to Vinegar Syndrome, welcome to the collecting world of Vinegar Syndrome. Wow, that couldn't have been more awkward. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.